This is Catherine from Taking Tea with Catherine, and today I'm drinking what is called Moroccan mint tea. I'm saying that because it's not genuine Moroccan mint tea, it's from a shop in the village that's very good, but it's not the exact recipe. Doesn't matter, it has mint in it, and that's why I'm drinking it, because I really need a little mint. My stomach's meh today. My stomach's meh a lot in the winter. Well, yeah, that too. I don't know what planet I'm on anymore. In the summer, because it's just so hot, and I think it just doesn't agree with me. I am in the AC today, which is a great thing to have, and it puts me in mind of the summers of when I was younger, and quite a few summer vacations, even though we did some things during the summer, some fun things. Most of the time, we ended up spending around home, because my parents weren't exactly loaded, and we were homebodies anyway, so that wasn't a terrible thing. But my mom thankfully took us to the library a lot, which sounds to some people like boring in the middle of summer vacation. You know, why would you want to go to the library? But for us, library was a fun place. It was a place where you could have access to quite a few books, which we were all readers, my sisters and I. And that could keep us entertained for hours. So we'd come home after getting a stack of books, and we'd come to the hum of the air conditioner. Some people don't like that sound. I get irritated by a lot of sounds, but it's actually a very comforting sound to me. So I am still a library person, which is a shame in a sense, because I have all these books, as you can see in the background, quite a few I still have to read, and I need to get through them, but I still end up checking out more books in the library, eating a lot more than I should. But that's okay, because hey, it's nice to have all these possibilities. And I actually am spoiled for choice when it comes to libraries. Libraries. Can I say the word? There's a few in my neighborhood, one in close walking distance, but where I work in Midtown East Manhattan, there are, I believe, at least 4 within a 10-block radius. And after the 10-block radius, there's probably about 5 more that are within a mile of where I work. So it's kind of hard not to pass by a library at some point during my week, and I'm often tempted. So I've done it again. I have tons of books that I bought, and yet I have a stack in front of me of books that I'm either in the middle of or checked out of the library and haven't started yet. And I don't mind if I sometimes have to return books without starting them or without finishing them. It doesn't kill me. Again, didn't spend any money unless I let it go overdue, which, you know, big deal. Anyway, that's not the point. Let's get into the books that I have out. So this is a haul, in a sense. It's a library haul. The cheapest haul there is. But thank you, libraries. The first one, I'd seen this book mentioned on, I think, a Book Olive, and she talks about Myers-Briggs every once in a while. The Myers-Briggs test. And this is a book about the making of that. Not really considered a test, it's considered an indicator. There's 16 different personality types, and it's theorized that everyone fits into one of them, and based on your functions, I'm not going to explain it all right now, but if you know anything about it, then you'll know what I mean when I say that I am supposedly an INFP, which, you know, a lot of writers are, a lot of readers are, and a lot of indoor people are, and outdoor people. So, and one of the, it's Myers of Myers-Briggs was supposedly an INFP as well. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. I started this book. I'm not sure yet how I feel about it. I feel like they're trying to almost expose how it began, and the writer's not having an easy time of getting into the whole Myers-Briggs community. So, I'll see where it goes. If I like it, I like it. If not, I'll return it, as you do. The next one, I'm in a book club, and we meet every few months, and we tend to pair up what we're reading with the food of the region that we're reading about. Tend to, you know, we may go off a little bit, doesn't matter. A lot of things matter, by the way. I say it doesn't matter a lot, but you know, I'm not Bohemian Rhapsody, and nothing really matters to me. I love the Queen quote, by the way. That's going to happen a lot. Going off the subject, but anyway, so I checked this out of the library. And of course, the one book that I really do need to read for my book club and don't want to buy because I'm feeling cheap right now, and I already bought so many books recently, is the one book in my entire stack of checked out books that I cannot renew. So it's due next week, so I really need to get cracking. I'm about halfway through. It's a good book. A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles? I do not know. Sorry. By the way, my last name is always mispronounced, so I'm not taking offense at anything anymore. So I hope people don't take offense at my bad pronunciation. But you're free to tell me how to pronounce it in the comments below, by the way. I don't mind that at all. This book takes place in the 20s, and I think now in the 30s. It's about a man, Count Rostov. I don't think this is based on a true story, but anyway, he's a count, so obviously during that time period in Russia and the upcoming USSR, I don't know that much about this history, by the way, so don't fault me. It's slightly historical fiction for me, but I'm poorly educated in this respect. But he's under a sort of house arrest in this hotel where he lives, which is kind of a nice place to be in house arrest if you're going to be. So it's like a slightly classy way. So it's just basically that story so far. I don't know if it's going to get tragic or not. I mean, there's some tragic bits already, but it seems sort of okay. You know, I don't know what it would be like to be housebound to a hotel. You know, I've always thought if I had to be stuck somewhere, I wouldn't mind being at home because I have all my books and my cats, you know, and I'm an indoor person. But the thought of not being able to go out and take a walk when you want to, it's a bit strange. Anyway, it kind of, weirdly enough, reminds me of a book we read for book club, which is actually one of my favorite books. My book club wasn't that crazy about it. The Elegance of the Hedgehog. It's not exactly the same, obviously, but there's something about the vibe of it that reminds me of it. So that's interesting. I'm curious to see how my fellow book clubbers will like it. But okay, moving on. Woven within this stack are books about books because I can't get enough of books about books. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I didn't start this one yet. I think it's a really cute little book. I almost wanted to buy it, but I'm trying to have self-control once again. Look at this. I'd rather be reading. Can you see it? It's a little glary. It's so petite and nice. It looks like the chair, almost looks like the chair has a cat on it, but I'm probably wrong. Because they wouldn't design it that way, right? Would they cover the cat with a title? Maybe it's just a cushion. I don't know. Let's pretend it's a cat and have fun with it. Anyway, by Anne Bogle, creator of Modern Mrs. Darcy. Oh, try not to mention Jane Austen July in one post July, and it's just happening. Anyway, the delights and dilemmas of the reading life. I love this. I think if I were going to write a book, like a full-on book, besides the one I did write and will never ever publish, oh no, it would be something like this, you know, because I just love talking about books and I love reading about books. It's just a wonderful thing. Anyway, so hopefully I will enjoy that. This is a slightly different one. I just saw it in a bookshop and decided to put it on hold at the library. I haven't started it, so I have no opinion, but I just thought it just looked cool. The Widows of Malabar Hill. A mystery of 1920s Bombay. So it's called Bombay back then, by the way, so don't correct me right now. And just briefly, I'll read. Perveen Mistry, the daughter of a respected Zoroastrian family, has just joined her father's law firm, becoming one of the first female lawyers in India. Armed with a legal education from Oxford, Perveen also has a tragic personal history that makes women's legal rights especially important to her. Then she starts investigating a family with 3 widows, hence the Widows. And I know nothing more about this, except I've always been interested in the whole Zoroastrian thing. Not so much the religion itself, per se, but just because, again, as a Crazy Queen fan, I knew about Freddie Mercury's background for forever, and I also have a relative, an in-law, who came from that background, so it's kind of interesting to me, and it's also kind of historical fiction. I hope I like the book, and if not, I tried. I had a book that I recently checked out and returned the next day because I just started reading it, and it was called A Year of Rest and Relaxation, because I heard it was really good. Some people said it was really good, and then I've been reading further reviews and not so much. It either gets like 5 stars or 1 star. That's what they call polarizing. I just didn't like it. I mean, I'm not going to give away any spoilers or anything really about the plot because I barely even read it, but it started out about this woman who lives in the Upper East Side, and she's just going to take a year off from life and just basically sleep with the help of pills, which I don't like reading about people abusing pills. I don't like it at all. Don't like it. And I also saw, just from the very beginning, the time period, it was starting in 2001, a year, and I just thought, references. I know they're going to throw in 9/11, and it has to be right if they do that. And I checked the book. I'm not going to say anything else. I wasn't a fan. So back it went. I'm not wasting my time. If you all want to read whatever you want to read, that's fine, but I didn't want to read it. Okay, next. Another book about books. Books about bookshops are some of my favorite things, because most readers fantasize just a little bit about owning a bookshop, and some end up doing so. Some writers also end up doing so. Is her name Anne Patchett? I hate when I don't know exactly how people's names are. She wrote Bel Canto, amazing book. Oh, I hope that was right. Anyway, I heard that she owned a bookshop, or I think she still does, and if I could just figure out where it is, somewhere down south. I gotta read up on that again if I'm ever down there. Oh, can you imagine a bookshop owned by a writer? Actually, no, that's not true, because I have been to a bookshop in Brooklyn. Books Are Magic. I think one of the owners is a writer. Again, gotta reread about their bio, or maybe visit them, because I can. It's Brooklyn. It's close to me-ish. I just like that because, yeah, anybody who loves books, it would be great for them to be able to run a bookshop, but someone who has written books, it's just, I don't know, it's glorious. But yeah, so we all, most of us fantasize about owning a bookshop. I would not want to actually run a business. I personally would not want to run a business of that scope. I can't even imagine dealing with that. So I have to do it through the eyes of other people, vicariously. Yay! Vocabulary of the day. Vicariously. The Little Bookstore of Big Stone Gap. Now, before I go into this, I'm almost halfway through already, because it's just a nice little package, just easy to go right into. My thing is, I looked up the bookshop online and on Facebook, and it looks like they're closing. So it's like it's hard to go on reading about the opening of a bookshop and the struggling to survive during economic issues and etc. And knowing that this is kind of like a, you know, against the odds situation, because they move into a small town where they're basically considered outsiders, and it's just, again, odds stacked against you. Very difficult to own a business, and the time period where they're open financially. Ugh. And yet, through everything, they have this bookshop, and it sounds so encouraging. So, I mean, this book was written in, let's see, I think I know this, 2012. So, yeah. So, I mean, at least they had a good, you know, decades run, if from what I can go by. But it's still kind of sad. Anyway, I love it because it's owning a bookshop, trying to run it, having cats. There's 2 cats and I think 2 dogs in the story already, so that appeals to me too. Who doesn't love bookshop cats? Well, there are people who don't like bookshop cats. People don't like cats as well. I get it, but whatever. Anyway, it's nice kind of to get off the subject of Jane Austen just for a little bit anyway. So this next book... Oh, sorry! Oh, that was so fake. The Making of Jane Austen by Devoney Looser? Devoney? Ooh, I make it fancy, Devoney. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Again, I could actually look it up. But, so The Making of Jane Austen is basically that. It's just how did she become not just the person, Jane Austen, but Jane Austen. So I love that. I mean, I'm still in the month, but I know this is probably going to carry me into August. So that's okay. It's kind of nice to know that I can still be reading about Jane Austen past Jane Austen month. Jane Austen July. And you've seen this already, Northanger Abbey, so I'm not going to really get into it that much. Speaking of which. Okay, so this is really kind of nostalgic. Because when I first... Okay, by the way, just again, rewind. When I like something, I want to know everything about it. So I'm not someone who just likes something a little bit usually. I mean, there's some things I just like a little bit, and I Wikipedia it or something, and I'm good. Or I watch a YouTube video and I'm good. But if I like a subject, I don't just like it. I have to know everything I could possibly know about it. And ever since I was younger, I was doing that. Going back to libraries, I used to go to my local library and try to find anything about something. Like when I got into Queen, or when I got into tea, etc. Or then I would, because we didn't really have internet when I was a teenager, so, I mean, I think it existed, but very rudimentary, and even being able to reserve a book from another branch of the library. It might have been possible, but I never thought to ask because, you know, heaven forbid. Now it's so easy. Just go on, and I have access to all the books of Queens and Manhattan and the Bronx, maybe Staten Island, I'm not sure, but not Brooklyn. That's a separate library. It's just hard to communicate. Anyway, I don't need to explain. So whenever I like something, I just need to read everything about it, and I'm still kind of like that, but even back then, even more so. And I remember before I even had the Manhattan access, I would go also to the Central Library in Jamaica, Queens, which is a bit of a ride, but it was public transportation wise, it was on my way to my grandmother's house, which was a long journey, but hey, I had books, so I would stop over at this library out in Jamaica, Queens, and it was the Central Library, so it had tons of books, so I'd get as many as possible. I found some of my favorite writers actually just browsing that, and I would find books about tea. I remember green tea, books about Queen, and then I got into other bands, books about them, on and on. But one of the things I got into in the early 90s was when we got our first cat. His name was Cinnamon. He was orange. He looked a lot like that teapot over there. Suddenly I became a crazy cat person. Like overnight, I went from loving dogs, and I still like dogs, but just everything. I needed to do everything about cats. I needed to read books about cats. And I always liked mysteries, although when I was younger, I kind of avoided the mystery section in the bookshop because the spine had a little skull. And as a kid, that creeped me out. I wasn't one of those kids that found that fascinating. No, thank you. But I always liked mystery, so I thought, oh, look, there's books about cats solving mysteries, or like the people who had the cats solving mysteries with the help of their cats. And there was a ton of different kinds of books like that, and I haven't read any of them in ages. It was the Cat Who series, the Rita Mae Brown books as well. You know, it wasn't like deep reading, but it didn't have to be. It was fun. And so when I saw this book, I said, okay, I have to at least give it a shot. The Cat Sitter's 9 Lives. It's apparently a series, so this is like book 9 or something, so I'm obviously not reading the whole series at this point, but I saw this cat that looks a little bit like my cat Freddy, and he's reading a book, and that just kind of looked cute. So I said, okay, I will try it. I started it already. I'm not sure how much I like it yet or not. You know, I don't know if I'm going into it too late, if I'm going to get spoiled about anything, but it doesn't really matter. I noticed that the writer has, the original writer has died since beginning, so her son has kept it going. I don't know what that means, but I'm giving it a shot. If I like it, I like it. So, speaking of bookshop books and mysteries, etc. Midnight at the Bright Ideas bookstore. So far I'm not sure how I feel about this. I did start it, and because I do that usually if I check out a book. Most of the books I check out are in Manhattan, like during my workday, or at lunch or whatever, and I will read it on the way home. So I'll almost always start a book before continuing with it like a few weeks later or whatever. So I'll remember a tiny bit of the plot, and I've only gotten up to page 33, 32, and it's just about, so far it's about a woman who works in a bookshop, and it seems a bit of like a quirky kind of bookshop that attracts interesting people, and interesting people work there, but one of these people commits suicide apparently in the bookshop, and so this woman, what is her name, Lydia Smith, finds him, and that's kind of hard to read about, but it opens up a whole mystery. Apparently she has a past, so I guess we're gonna find out about that if I keep reading. Again, I just love books about books, and I love mysteries, and I'm kind of leaning towards making August a mystery focused month. It doesn't have to be purely that, like this is Jane Austen July, no doubt, but I think I'm going, since a lot of these library books are sort of mystery themed, I think I'm going to sort of gear toward that. I also have books that I haven't shown you guys yet that I bought at shops and online, and a lot of them are also mysteries or detective stories, and so I don't know, I feel like I'm just sort of getting there. I don't know if mysteries are necessarily summer reading for me, but it's not an impossible thing. Anyway, so those are all the books I've taken out of the library. If a book isn't put on hold by someone else, some of these can be renewed, I think, up to 9 times. Some of them are 2 weeks checkout. You're allowed to have it for 2 weeks until you renew it. Some of them are 3 weeks. So let's say the minimum is 2 weeks times 9 is what, 18 weeks? So about 4 months ish. So a lot of these, if I really want to, I could keep out till autumn. And that's good. So I have time, but I'm the kind of person who doesn't usually keep things out if I really feel like I don't like it that much in the long run. It doesn't have to be a bad book. I just may not want to engage with it so much because obviously I have so much to read that I don't want to waste time on something that I'm not going to be crazy about, especially if it's not required reading. You know what I mean? Book club reading or something, or an ARC. Advanced viewer copy, by the way. I don't get too many of them, but I do occasionally. Anyway, I'm going on and on. That's my library book haul for now, and I'm probably going to keep to that for a little bit, although I have 2 more books on hold that are also sort of books about books, I think. Yikes. Maybe one is a mystery too, I'm not sure, but alright, I gotta calm myself down. But in the meantime, I have all these hours in my air-conditioned apartment. I have my tea, which I can drink hot because I have this lovely AC. I can't say enough about air conditioning. I know some people don't like it, but and I avoid it in, the slightly warm time. But when it's hot, this is it for me. This is great. Anyway,